Welcome one and all back to the lovely dark. Okay, we're just doing new games every Thursday, not Doppler. Yeah, not Doppler. These good Flash games. So, game by Juicy Beast? I wonder if the beast is juicy. Oh, whoops. Is Burrito Bison? Okay. So, if any of you are fans of Flash games, you've probably seen this before. You got Bison going shopping. So what's this? Candyland? Oh shit! Got kidnapped into Candyland! Oh no! I'm in an arena? Ooh, Candyland can't go! Jawbreaker, go! You're spinning me to launch yourself out of the ring! Okay, that's wrong. Okay, I know how to play. So anyways, like I was gonna say, if any of you are... wait, how's my recording looking? Looking good? Okay. If any of you are fans of Flash games, you probably know all about this game. Oh, it's loud. Okay. You've probably seen this game before. It's one of those classic upgrade games where you launch yourself, and then you go a distance. Yeah, explosives, I know. And then you go a distance, and you get money, and you get upgrades, and you gotta keep going further and further. And I thought it would be a nice background game to play while I tell a story. Because I want to tell a story. I think it's a funny story. But I want a game to play in the background, because otherwise it's just me talking into nothing. And I might also be just a little bit drunk. Rum's tasty. But anyways, I'm gonna tell you the goat cheese story. So, I work at a sandwich shop. I don't even care. I work at a sandwich shop. I've said this a bunch of times. And working as a cashier, working in any kind of customer service, you collect a repertoire of interesting stories about the different customers you encounter. And one of the customers I encounter shall forever be known as Goat Cheese Lady. So what happened was this. Actually, no, that's the wrong way to tell a story. You start with a true story. No shit, there I was, doing cashier things. I was just selling sandwiches like I do. And this lady walks in from the start, just looking at her. I can see, I know ahead of time she's gonna give me shit because she's just one of those people. You can see it in their eyes. It doesn't matter what happens, they will find something to complain about. You know the type. You know the type of person. So I see her walk in, like, okay, I'm just gonna take her order. And so I'm taking her order, and she's like, oh, by the way, on the salad, I want to swap out the apples for extra goat cheese. Now, if you've worked in the food industry before, you might have heard this term that's food cost. And food cost is the amount of money it takes to get food onto a customer's plate, which makes sense. If you're gonna sell a sandwich, you need to know how much money you're paying to get the food of that sandwich together. Food cost doesn't include, like, it doesn't include employee labor costs. It doesn't include, like, any of the overhead for the restaurant. Food cost is just the cost it takes to get that food into the building and onto the assembly line. And proteins have a very high food cost. The meats, the cheeses, these are expensive things to sell. Bread is very cheap. Lettuce is cheap comparatively. Tomatoes, pickles, whatever, all that stuff, it's cheap. Will you want extra pickles on your sandwich? Great. You want us to add mayonnaise? Sure, why not? You want to add cheese to a sandwich? It's gonna cost a little bit, because cheese as a protein has a higher food cost than lettuce or what have you. So I don't even know what upgrades I'm buying, by the way. So this woman wants to swap out apples for goat cheese. Now, apples are a very low cost item. Cheese is a comparatively higher cost item. Especially when you consider this isn't just cheese, this is goat cheese. And so, I'm looking at my register, I'm thinking, I don't think I can do this. This woman's gonna give me shit, so I'm like, okay, I'm not 100% sure I can do this, let me go get my manager. And she's like, well, they do it every other time I come in here, so yeah, go talk to your manager so you can get me my salad. Like, okay, I go, I look for my manager, and as it so happens, the manager on shift, Holly, I love Holly, by the way, she's awesome. If you hear in any of my sandwich stories the name Holly, you know, Holly's a bro. She gonna take care of me. So Holly is not in the restaurant at this moment. She needed to go to the bank for some kind of managerial duties. I don't know, I'm not a manager. She wasn't young, but she wasn't in the restaurant, and Ty was in his office. Now, Ty, he is less of a bro than Holly. To jam the mouse button? Okay. Ty is less of a bro than Holly is, and that Ty is scary. Ty has never given me any reason to be scared of him. And in fact, on the numerous occasions I've fucked up, rather grievously in some cases, he has been okay with it, and he's just been like, do better next time. But it's not a do better next time, it's a do better next time. Like that, you can just tell from his tone, from the way he speaks, like he is not afraid to lay down the law and give you some serious shit if you do things wrong too many times. So I'm a little bit scared of Ty. Ty was in his office. I don't like to interrupt Ty when he's in his office because he's usually doing really important managerial things. So Holly's gone. Ty is scary. I'm like, I don't have a manager to talk to, so I talk to the other cashiers, I talk to kitchen, and they're like, yeah, bro, you can't just give her extra goat cheese because it's more expensive than apples. I'm like, okay, I go back to her, I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we can't just give you extra goat cheese in place of apples because goat cheese is a higher cost item. And she's like, really? They've done it every other time I've come here. And I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am, the other cashiers who come here must have made a mistake. There's no way for me to ring up your order to give you goat cheese in place of apples. If you want extra goat cheese, it's going to cost you, like, I think it was like $1.40 or some really inconsequential amount of money. And she's like, okay, fine. I'm like, so do you want to pay for the extra goat cheese? Because she said, okay, fine. That could be okay, fine, I don't want the goat extra, or okay, fine, I'll go ahead and pay for it. So I asked a question, and she's like, well, apparently not, if you're gonna make me pay for it. I'm like, okay, fine. So I take her order, I make sure I get everything right, because no way am I gonna fuck up her order after I go through all of this. And I send it off to kitchen. She pays for it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm done with her. I don't have to deal with her anymore. Kitchen, I'm going about my cashier duties. Kitchen makes her order. I bring her the order. I be very professional. I'm like, I hope you enjoy your meal. If there's anything we can help you with, please don't hesitate to ask. And she looks at me, and she says, well, there was something that you could have helped me with, but you apparently couldn't figure it out. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave. So I leave her to her salad that did have the goat cheese on it that comes with the salad. It just didn't have extra goat cheese because you gotta pay for that shit. And after I deliver the food, Ty comes out of his office and Holly comes back. And so I figure I'll kill two birds with one stone. I ask both of them at the same time. I'm like, hey, this lady over here was really mad at me. She wanted to swap out apple slices on the salad for extra goat cheese. And I told her that we couldn't do that because I thought I remembered you guys saying that. Did I make the right call? And both of them are like, yeah, you made the right call. And then Ty says, yeah, goat cheese costs $20 per pound. I don't know how many of you know the price of cheese, but you can go just buy a block of a pound of cheddar is usually like $5 or $6. $20 for a pound of cheese is an insanely high price. So he's like, yeah, no, you made the right call. Goat cheese fucking expensive. We don't give that shit away for free. So I'm like, okay. The general manager, the top authority, he backed me up. I feel vindicated, so I'm going about my tasks. And I've got Cinnabons baking in the oven, and that word alone probably lets you know what sandwich store I work at, but got those baking in the oven, but I'm going to take out the trash quickly before the Cinnabons are ready. So I grab the trash bags, bag up the trash, I take the trash out, and the entire time, this woman is looking at me. You know, she's just glaring daggers at me while she's eating her salad that apparently doesn't have enough putrid goat cheese for her taste buds. Like it's personally my fault that she didn't get enough goat cheese on her salad when I was just doing my job. And when I asked my manager, I did my job correctly. So I take out the trash, I take it out of the back, and then I wash my hands in the sink that's in the back in the kitchen. And then I come back to the front, the cashier bar, and I'm doing my stuff. The Cinnabons come out of the oven, so I'm putting icing on the Cinnabon, because that shit won't frost itself. And the whole time, she's looking at me, and she's watching very closely. I'm like, okay. I could get her glaring daggers at me, but she's watching for something. Like, she is just waiting for me to fuck up on something so she can report me. But I'm just icing Cinnabons. There's nothing suspect she can find there, or so I thought. And so, while I'm icing Cinnabon, she walks up and I know what she's gonna say before she comes. And she says, "Can I speak to your manager?" I'm like, I saw this coming. What's this? Pogo click? Okay. She's like, "Can I speak to your manager?" I'm like, okay, sure. I'll go get Holly. And so I go get Holly, and I'm icing the Cinnabon still, and she's talking with Holly, and they both glance at me once or twice. I'm like, yeah, of course, this is about me. This isn't about the food. This isn't about the fucking goat cheese. It's about me, personally, because I dared to deprive her of the goat cheese. So they're talking, and Holly comes over to me, and she's like, "Hey, can you wash your hands up here at the front sink?" I'm like, yeah, why? And she's like, she says, "The lady over there says that you took out the trash, and she saw that you didn't wash your hands between taking out the trash and icing the Cinnabons, which is a food contamination risk." And I'm like, well, that would be true, but, you know, there's the sink in the back that I use because it's a larger sink. The sink up behind the cashier bar, it is tiny. Like, you could fit an entire gallon of milk into this sink. It is a tiny... Well, you could barely fit a gallon of milk into this sink. It is a tiny sink. So I'm like, yeah, I washed my hands in the back, but for the customer, I'll wash my hands up here. I'm fine with that. And she's like, alright, and so she goes to the back, presumably, to talk to Ty, the general manager. So I'm like, okay. Because Holly wasn't aware of the entire situation. She just heard that I made a call that you can't swap apples for goat cheese. She didn't know who it was or what was up. So she goes back to talk to Ty about it. And so I find a very plausible excuse to be in the back of the kitchen when she goes to talk to Ty. And so she says to Ty, who's come out of his office by now, and he is no less scary than I remembered him, she says, so, I didn't hear what she said, but she said something to the effect of a customer had a complaint about Jacob not washing his hands. And I shit you not, what Ty says wasn't goat cheese, lady. And I have to fight to keep from busting a gut laughing, like, this is how he is referring to his paying customer, as goat cheese, lady. And she's like, yeah, probably. She turns to me like, "Hey, Jacob, was that goat cheese lady?" I'm like, yeah, that was goat cheese lady that didn't see me wash my hands in the back of the kitchen. She's like, yeah, okay, it was goat cheese lady. He's like, yeah, she's just trying to get him in trouble because he did his job well. Don't worry about it. He washed his hands where she could see it. That's fine. So man. Friggin' goat cheese lady trying to get me in trouble for doing my job right. I mean, has anyone who works in customer relations, do you have a similar customer story? Have a customer getting mad at you for doing your job? Oh, it gets, every time it happens, it's funny. But that is the extent of that story. I didn't get in trouble. Goat cheese lady did not get 4 ounces of free, actually it was probably like 8 ounces of free goat cheese, because that's how much normally comes on the salad, and if you ask for extra, it's usually double that. So she did not get free goat cheese. I did my job correctly. She tried to get me in trouble, and I did not get in trouble, because Ty, scary as he is, understands how to run a restaurant, and understands employees' needs. So I go back to the front after this, and I'm just smiling. I continue icing the Cinnabons, and she's looking at me like she expected some kind of, like, serious reprimand, or she expected me to get in trouble. I can see she's looking at my face for any sign of anger or disappointment or frustration that would indicate that something bad had happened to me because she had gotten me in trouble for not giving her goat cheese. So I smile to her as she's walking out the door, and I'm like, have a nice day, and come again soon. And she just glares at me. Oh, the hate in her eyes as she glared at me. It was delicious. And she leaves, and I can't help but think to myself, man, it must suck to live your life with that much hate in your heart. But anyways, that is the Sandwich Shack Goat Cheese Lady story. If you have any similar customer service stories, by all means share them in the comments below, because I've learned you cannot work in any kind of customer service without running into these kind of people. So share a story if you have one. We'll have a great laugh at the world's expense. I'm honestly, I'm over here drinking some rum and coke. It's good shit. I have reached the level of intoxication. It's a little bit difficult to keep my head upright, but I'm not so drunk that I can't tell a story and swash some gummies. But that said, my story is done, so my curtain is calling to me, and I must bid you lovely people adieu until I see you next time on the dark side. You keep it classy, folks.